All right,
All right.
we're ready.
So
Just
here
let
we
me know when
go.
you're ready, Dad.
I will, sis. I will. It's about to be ready. It's like another
Ask me,
minute.
ask me if I'm ready when it's time for me to. If I can read again, I'll try. Okay.
Okay, sure. All right, we're live, everyone. Shalom, we're back. Sister Marissa is going to be reading Job chapter 26 to 29 for us. So I'm going to be muting myself so you guys can hear her clearly. All right, here you go, sis.
Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. And Job answered and said, how have you helped the powerless, saved an arm not strong? How have you given counsel to the unwise or declared sound advice to many? With whom have you spoken words, and whose spirit came from you? The dead wait, those under the waters, and those inhabiting them. The grave is naked before him, and destruction has no covering. He stretched out the north over emptiness, hanging the earth upon naught, binding up waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not torn under them, covering the surface of his throne, spreading his cloud over it. He drew a limit on the surface of the waters at the boundary of light and darkness. The columns of the Shamayim tremble and are stunned at his reproof. By his power he has calmed the sea, and by his understanding he struck down Rahab. By his ruach he adorned the Shamayim. His hand whirled the fleeing serpent. See, these are the fringes of his ways, and how little a matter is heard of him. And who understands the thunder of his power? And Job again took up his discourse and said, as El lives, who has turned aside my right ruling, and El Shaddai, who has made my life bitter. As long as my breath is in me and the spirit of Eloah in my nostrils, my lips do not speak unrighteousness, nor my tongue utter deceit. Far be it from me that I grant that you are right. Until I die, I will not turn aside my integrity from me. My righteousness I hold fast, and I do not let it go. My heart does not reproach me as long as I live. Let my enemy be like the wicked, and he who rises up against me like the unrighteous. For what is the expectancy of the defiled one when he cuts off? When Eloah takes away his life? Would El hear his cry when distress comes upon him? Would he delight himself in El Shaddai, call on Eloah at all times? Let me teach you by the hand of El that which is with El Shaddai I do not hide. See, all of you have seen it. Why then are you altogether vain? This is the portion of the wicked man with El, and the inheritance of cruel ones, which they receive from El Shaddai. If his children are increased, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not have enough to eat. Those who remain of him are buried in death, and their widows do not weep. Though he heats up silver like dust and lays up garments like clay, he lays up, but the righteous put it on, and the innocent divides the silver. He built his house like a moth, like a booth with a watchman made. He lies down, a rich man, but he is not gathered. When he opens his eyes, it is no more. Alarms overtake him like a flood. A storm wind shall steal him away in the night. The east wind takes him away, and he is gone, for it sweeps him from his place. and it hurls itself against him and does not spare. He swiftly flees from its power. It clasps its hands at him, and it hisses him out of his place. Indeed, there is a mine for silver, and a place where gold is refined. Iron is taken from the earth, and copper is smelted from ore. An end to darkness he has appointed, and to every limit he is searching, to rocks in deepest darkness. He opens a shaft far away from people. They are forgotten by feet. They hang far away from men. They swing to and fro. Earth out of which grows food is turned underneath as by fire. Its stones are the place of sapphires, and it has dust of gold. No bird of prey knows the path, nor has the hawk's eye seen it. The proud beasts have not trodden it, nor has the fierce lion passed over it. He puts his hand on the flint. He shall overturn the mountains at the roots. He cuts out channels in the rocks, and his eye sees all that is precious. He dams up the sources of the rivers, and he brings to light what is hidden. And wisdom, where is it found? And where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its value, and it is not found in the land of the living. The deep has said, it is not in me, and the sea has said, it is not with me. Gold is not given for it, nor is silver weighed out as its price. It is not valued in the gold of Ophir, in precious shoham or sapphire. Gold or crystal are not to be compared with it, nor is it exchanged for a vessel of fine gold. No mention is made of coral or crystal, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Cush is not to be compared with it, nor is it valued in clean gold. Any wisdom, from where does it come? And where is a place of understanding? It has been hidden from the eyes of all living, and concealed from the birds of the Shamayim. Destruction and death have said, with our ears we have heard a report of it. Elohim has understood its way, and he has known its place. For he looks to the ends of the earth, sees all under the Shamayim, making a weight for the wind and measuring out the waters by measure. When he made a law for the rain and a way for the lightning of thunder, then he saw wisdom and declared it. He prepared it and also searched it out. And he said to man, see, the reverence of Yahuwah, that is wisdom, and to turn from evil is understanding. And Eob again took his discourse and said, oh, that I were as in months past, as in the days when Eloah protected me, when his lamp shone on my head, when I walked in the dark by his light. As I was in the days of my autumn, when the intimacy of Eloah was on my tent, when El Shaddai was still with me, when my children were around me, when my steps were bathed with cream and the rock poured out rivers of oil for me. When I went out to the gate by the city to take my seat in the open square, the young men saw me and hid, and the aged rose up. They stood. Rulers held back their words and laid a hand on their mouth. The voice of leaders was hushed, and their tongue clung to the roof of their mouth. For when the ear heard, it baraked me, and when the eye saw it, it gave me witness of me. It gave witness of me. Because I rescued the poor who cried out, and the fatherless who had no helper. The barakah of the perishing one will come upon me, and I made the widow's heart sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it robbed me. Right ruling was my cloak and turban. I was eyes to the blind, and I was feet to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and I investigated a case which I did not know. And I broke the jaws of the perverse and snatched the prey from his teeth. Then I thought I would die in my nest and increase my days as the sand. My root reaching out to the waters, and dew lying all night on my branch. My esteem fresh within me, and my bow renewed in my hand. To me they listened, and they waited, and kept silent at my counsel. After my words they did not speak again, and my speech settled on them. And they waited for me like the rain, and they opened their mouth wide as for the latter rain. I smiled at those who did not believe, and the light of my face they did not dim. I chose the way for them and sat as chief, and I dwelt like a sovereign in the army, like one who comforts mourners.
Thank you, Sister Marissa. You did a great job reading. So I'll be continuing Job here at chapter 30. But now the youngest has laughed me to scorn. Where's my microphone here? That might help. Now they reprove me in turn, whose fathers I set at nothing, whom I did not deem worthy to be with my shepherd dogs. Yea, why had I the strength of their hands? For them the full term of life was lost. One is childless in want and famine, such as they had fled but lately the distress and misery of drought, who surround the salt places on the sounding shore, who had salt herbs for their food, and were dishonorable of no repute, in want of every good thing, who also ate roots of trees by reason of great hunger. Thieves have risen up against me, whose houses were the caves of the rocks, who lived under the wild shrubs. They will cry out among the rustling bushes. They are sons of fools and vile men. Name and esteem are quenched from off the earth. But now I am their music, and they have me for a byword. They stood aloof and abhorred me, and spared not spit on my face. For he has opened his quiver and afflicted me. They also have cast off the restraint of my presence. They have risen up against me on the right hand of their offspring. They have stretched out their foot and directed against me the ways of their destruction. My paths are ruined, for they have stripped off my clothing. He has shot at me with his weapons, and he has pleaded against me as he will. I am overwhelmed with pains. My pains return upon me. My expectation is gone like the wind, and my safety as a cloud. Even now my life shall be poured forth upon me, and the days of anguish seize me. And by night my bones are confounded, and my sinews are relaxed. With great force has taken hold of my garment. It has surrounded me as a collar of my coat. And you have counted me as clay, my portion in dust and ashes. I have cried to you, but you hear me not. But they stood still and observed me. They attacked me also without mercy. You have scourged me with a strong hand, and you have put me to grief and have cast me away from safety. I know that death will destroy me, for the earth is the house appointed for every mortal. Oh, then that I might lay hands upon myself, or at least ask another, and he should do this for me. Yet I wept over every helpless man. I groaned when I saw a man in distress. But when I waited for good things, behold, the days of evil came the more upon me. My belly boiled and would not cease. The days of poverty prevented me. I went mourning without restraint, and I have stood and cried out in the assembly. And I am become a brother of monsters. Let me actually change this translation here. Hold on, guys. I'm going to just change this translation for this verse to the Apostolic Bible Polyglot here. Okay. What the heck? Okay. Whoops. Right. No. Okay, that's right. I have to do the English one. Okay. All right. So I believe I was at verse 29 here. All right. So here we go. A brother I have become of sirens, and a companion of ostriches. My skin is darkened greatly, and my bones from sweltering heat. Turned and into mourning, my harp and my psalm into weeping for me. Job 31. A covenant I made with my eyes, I will not take notice upon a virgin. So we read earlier about how it is not a righteous thing for a man to seduce a maiden before marriage, a virgin before marriage. And we see here Job is kind of pulling back to that Torah portion of Exodus 21 to 24, which we read earlier, and how he's talking about he's made a covenant with his eyes not to even lust after a virgin. So very interesting in verse 1 there. And what portion is Alua above, or Elohim above, an inheritance fit from the highest? Woe, destruction to the unrighteous, and alienation to the one committing lawlessness. Okay. Will he not see my way and all my footsteps counted out? But if I was going with jokesters, or even hurrying my foot for treachery, for I stand in yoke, a righteous balanced scale, and Yahuwah knew my innocence. Okay. If my foot turn aside from out of the way, or even my eye follows after my heart, and if even my hands touched bribes, may I slow then, and others eat root, and may I become rootless upon the earth, meaning, no fruit, dead tree. So he's basically saying, if I've ever had a wicked inclination or thought, or that I would take bribes, show partiality, may Yahuwah strike me down. That's basically what he's saying. If I followed after my heart, and let's see here, he looked after. Let me just change the translation real quick, because sometimes the way it's worded is almost worded backwards. So let me just get to an easier translation here. Okay, let's see here. This is verse 9 we're at here. Okay. If my heart has gone after another man's wife, and if I laid wait at her doors, then let my wife also please another. Let my children be brought low. So we see, talking about generational curses and all that. And that's a dangerous thing to say right there. Let my children be brought low, man. That's why you be careful what you speak. For the rage of anger is not to be controlled in the case of defiling another's wife. For it is a fire burning on every side, and whoever it attacks, it utterly destroys. If I also despise the judgment of my servant or my handmaiden, when they pleaded with me, what then shall I do, if Yahuwah should try me? And if also he should at all visit me, can I make an answer? Were not they formed too, as I also was formed in the womb? Yea, we were formed in the same womb. But the helpless missed not whatever needed they had, and I did not cause the eye of the widow to fail. And if I also ate my morsel alone and did not impart of it to the orphan, for I nourished them as a father from my youth, and guided them from my mother's womb. And if I too overlooked the naked as he was perishing and did not clothe him, and if the poor did not barack me, and their shoulders were not warmed with the fleece of my lambs, if I lifted my hand against an orphan and trusted that my strength was far superior to his, then let my shoulder start from the blade bone and my arm be crushed off from the elbow. Wow. For the fear of Yahuwah constrained me, and I cannot bear up the reason of his burden. If I made gold my treasure, and I too trusted the precious stone, if I also rejoiced when my wealth was abundant, and if I laid my hand on innumerable treasures, do we not see the shining sun eclipsed and the moon waning? For they have not power to continue. And if my heart was secretly deceived, and if I laid my hand upon my mouth and kissed it, let this also be reckoned to me as the greatest lawlessness, for I should have lied against Yahuwah Most High. So he's basically talking about worshiping the sun, moon, and the stars. He considers to be the greatest lawlessness, which is very interesting. Since what we read earlier in 2 Kings. Very interesting. And if I too was glad at the fall of my enemies, meaning rejoicing when your enemy falls, and my heart said, aha, then let my ear hear my curse, and let me be a byword among my people in my affliction. And if my handmaids have often said, oh, that we might be satisfied with his flesh, whereas I was very kind. For the stranger did not lodge without, and my door was open to everyone that came. Or if also, having sinned unintentionally, I hid my sin, for I did not stand in awe of a great multitude, so as not to declare boldly before them. And if I also permitted a poor man to go out of my door with an empty bosom, oh, that I had a hearer. And if I had not feared the hand of Yahuwah, and as to written charge which I had against anyone. Okay, so that's, I'm going to make a little note of that. The hand of Yahuwah. Let's see here. So that's Job 31. Make a little note of that. Okay. I would place it as a chaplet on my shoulders and read it. And if I did not read and return it, having taken nothing from the debtor, if at any time the land groaned against me, and if its furrows mourned together, and if I ate its strength alone without price, and if I too grieved the heart of the owner of the soil by taking from him, then let the thistles come up to me instead of wheat. Wow, he's almost putting a curse on himself that was put on Adam way back in the beginning. Remember, thorns and thistles? Whew. And he's very confident in his innocence here. That's all I can say. Then let thistles come up to me instead of wheat, and a bramble instead of barley. And Job ceased speaking. Wow. He was very confident in his purity, I guess. That's what I could take away from that chapter is he was very confident in his innocence. And I don't know if I would be so confident to say certain things like that might be turned into curses upon myself. But anyway, so there's certain things from this Job portion I wanted to go back to that were pretty important in my opinion. Specifically to 26. There's a lot of stuff in 26. Let me just see here. I did make a post the other day about there is a verse from 26 that references Yahusha, kind of connects Yahusha to Yahuwah here. So I want to get that reference as my first reference from 26. Let me just see here. Okay, where is it? I think it's right here. Yeah, 26:12. Okay, 26:12 really reminded me of Yahusha, and I'm going to show you guys why it reminded me of Yahusha. So we're going to go there real quick. Job 26:12, and I have a cross reference to it for Yahusha in the book of Matthew. So Job 26:12 in the Septuagint says, "He has calmed the sea." Now, who's the he it's referring to? Obviously, it's referring to the Father here, Yahuwah. "He has calmed the sea with his strength, and by his wisdom," who's the person wisdom, "the whale has been overthrown." Now, the whale is referring to Rahab. According to the footnotes of some Bibles, it will say Rahab supposedly was a idiomatic name for this sea monster, sea creature, or whale. So that's why the Septuagint instead of Rahab says whale. Okay, so anyway. But what I find interesting, it says he has calmed the sea. Okay, so to me, that just shouted out like Yahusha there, even though it's referencing the Father as calming the sea. So I thought that was pretty interesting. If we go to Matthew chapter 8, I think it's towards the end here. Let's see here. Heals 2 men's demons. Here we go. Let me see here. Let me try to find that real quick. I should be able to find this pretty easy.
Everyone, we are back for.
Let's see here. So let me get my wireless keyboard here. What? Who is he that the sea obeys him? I know it's in the book of Matthew this happens. Yeah, that he calms the sea. Okay, so it's Matthew 8:23-27. You can find this cross reference. The connection I'm trying to make between Yahuwah and Yahusha here, the oneness connection here. Okay, so let's start with verse 23 here. It says, see? Okay. "And when he entered into a boat, his taught ones followed him." I'm reading from the scriptures 1998 here. "And see a great gale arose on the sea." I don't know what I guess that's supposed to be storm. "So that the boat was covered by the waves, but he was sleeping. And his taught ones came to him and woke him up, saying, 'Master, save us, we are perishing.' And he said to them, 'Why are you afraid, O you of little belief?' Then having risen, he rebuked the winds and sea, and there was a great calm." Okay, so we see a oneness connection here. At least I do, between Yahuwah and Yahusha here. It says that Yahusha rebuked the sea and it was calmed. And we just read in Job 26:12 that Yahuwah is the one that calms the sea. So take that for what it's worth there. But I think it's another proof that they are one physical entity, in my opinion. They are the same person. But anyway, moving on here. Go backtrack here a little bit. Job 26 verse 5 is very interesting in my opinion, and to me is kind of like a backdrop of going a reference back to the flood, in my opinion. When we look at the verse 5 in Job 26, it says, and this is from the Septuagint here, but I'm going to show you how the Masoretic actually agrees with the Septuagint. It's just the fact that these translators translate a Hebrew word for that. Basically, they mistranslate it as the dead. So that's why people don't get this connection. But in the Septuagint, it says, "Shall giants be born from under the water, and the inhabitants thereof. So is this idea that these hybridized giants, the giants of the days of Noah, Job is saying, he could either be posing it as a question or as a statement. Even he could be saying, giants are born under the water. So this idea possibly that giants, the commonly mistakenly called Nephilim, but they were hybridized children of the fallen angels and the human women of Genesis 6:4. These giants somehow could survive the flood through being underwater. To me, that seems what he's referencing in a way. He's saying, can giants be born underwater? So I find that interesting. And I'll show you in the Masoretic here should say giants too. If you look at the word for dead, it should not be translated as dead. Okay, H7496 in the Hebrew here, Rapha. Okay, this is the root word for Raphaim. Okay, this is referring, a lot of the times it's referring to the spirits of the deceased giants, basically demons. Okay, what today we would call a demon or a ghost. Okay, the spirits, the ruachs of the dead giants, the dead titans, whatever you want to call them, demigods in Greek mythology, they would have been known as, because their DNA is part celestial, part angel, part terrestrial, with the DNA from the mother. So, but whatever you want to call them, titans, demigods, the giants, the Rapha is actually referring to giants. It's not referring to dead people or dead humans. Okay. So anyway, it's referring to the disembodied spirits of the giants, which we've already done a study on that. If you want to, you can look for it. I believe the name of the study is What Exactly Are Demons? And so in that study, we debunked the idea that demons are fallen angels. They're not fallen angels. And obviously from the Strong's Concordance here, you can clearly see they're not fallen angels. They're spirits of the deceased Raphaim. Okay. So they're ghosts, demons. All right. So anyway, so it should actually read from the Hebrew. It should actually said, giants are formed from under the waters, which is what the Septuagint is also saying. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Don't want to beat a dead horse there. Okay, so verse 7. That's in chapter 27. We haven't got there yet. All right. The last note I have for chapter 26 is verse 13. I find this interesting here. This seems to be a little bit of end times prophecy being referenced by Job here. He's being inspired by the set apart spirit here, this Ruach HaKodesh here. And it says in Job 26:13, and the barriers of heaven fear him, meaning they fear Yahuwah. And by a command, he has slain the apostate dragon. Now, who's the apostate dragon? I think all of us, know who that is. Okay. That's Satan. Okay. So many times, and even in the Masoretic text here, multiple times, Satan's called the crooked serpent. You can find that in Isaiah 27:1, Psalms chapter 74, 13-14. He's known as the crooked serpent. Okay. The reason it says dragon here in the Septuagint is because the actual Greek word is not serpent. It's drakon. So that's why it's dragon. Okay. So that's the main difference there. A lot of the times you'll see sometimes in the Masoretic where they have serpent, it will actually be dragon. And I'm kind of curious to see here whether it's supposed to be serpent or not. Sometimes, okay, yeah, it is Nakash. Okay. All right. Actually, since it's Nakash, probably more accurately should be Shining One, to tell you the truth. Okay. Surprisingly, the ISV doesn't correct that, even though they correct Nakash in other places and translate it as Shining One. But, oh well. Anyway, any which way, so I just found it interesting that verse 13 of that chapter talks about Yahuwah slaying the apostate dragon in the Septuagint version there. Okay, so now we're going to go to chapter 27, verse 7. And, right, so we're going to go back to the Septuagint here. Let's see here. What I found interesting was the Masoretic text lacks destruction, the word destruction here. So it will sound a little different, and I'll show you what I mean here. So if we go to, let's say, for example, we use the Sefer against the Bretons here. Show you a little difference here, okay? So we go to verse 7, and okay, let's see here. But on the contrary, let my enemies be as the overthrow of the wicked, and they that rise up against me as the destruction of transgressors. That's what the Septuagint says. The Masoretic of the Sefer says, let the enemy be as the wicked, and he that rises up against me as the unrighteous. Very weird that the word destruction is not mentioned there. The destruction of the wicked is not mentioned. It's just saying, let him who rises against me be as the unrighteous. So to me, it's like, it's weird. It's like an unfinished sentence in the Masoretic there. So that's why I took notice of that one. The Septuagint actually has destruction of the wicked, so a little bit more specific, or destruction of transgressors. Okay, so we're going to go now to verse 8 of chapter 27. I really found this interesting here. Says here, for what is the expectation of the wicked that he holds to it? Will he indeed trust in Yahuwah and be saved? I find this interesting because this is a statement being made by Job that can the wicked really believe in Yahuwah and trust in Yahuwah and be saved? Is that even possible? So I find it interesting that Job, according to Job, there is no expectation for the wicked. So, and I would kind of agree with him. Those that are rebellious, those that are willfully sinning, there's really no hope, expectation for them. Those that are sinning on purpose and don't care, and they're comfortable living in sin, and they have no problem living in sin. I would definitely agree with Job there. Then I had one last difference here, which I find interesting. The Masoretic, for whatever reason, in verse 35 of chapter 31 here, there is no mention of the hand of Yahuwah, which I find very interesting. I find that interesting because if you know who the hand of Yahuwah is and who it's referencing to as a person, I find it very interesting that Masoretic doesn't have the phrase, if I had not feared the hand of Yahuwah. To me, that is a very important phrase that, to paraphrase, Job is basically referencing the son of Yahuwah, Yahusha there. He's basically saying, if I had not feared Yahusha, pretty much. The hand of Yahuwah, a lot of the times in the Tanakh, the Old Testament, is referencing pre-incarnate Yahusha, the son of Yahuwah, being the right hand of the Father, the outstretched arm of the Father, so on and so forth. So I find it interesting the Masoretes just, take that phrase out of there. So I just wanted to bring that up. Now we're going to be continuing, and I thank everyone for bearing with me here. We're going to finally get to our last part of the study. So we're going to be going to chapter 18 to 22 in the book of Matthew. I'm going to have, if my sister Sadia can, I would like her to read chapters 18 to 20, and then I'll finish us off with 21 and 22 of Matthew. So if you're able to read, sis, let me know. If not, I could.
Can you? Oh, I look like a mess. Sorry. Can you can you put it on the screen here, or you want me to read it out of my King James?
No, I can put it on the screen for you.
Put it on the screen. Okay.
Yeah, let me just get it up on here.
Alrighty.
I go to my eSword here. All right. Okay, let me just go to.
Tell me if you hear not a lot of background. I don't care what version.
I'm hearing a little, but not a lot.
Okay. Hang on. Let me go see what I can lower. Can you guys let me read? You guys won't talk?
No.
Okay.
I'm a fan of it. I love you, man. I love you. Wait, Monkey, what are you trying to do?
Okay.
No, Grandma. Go read the room.
Go on. You guys go to the room. Come
You're
on. Okay. Can you hear? Did that help a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You want me to start here?
Monkey, what do you want?
Yep, sure.
Okay. At the same time, the disciples unto Yahusha saying, oh, I'm sorry. Did I say it right? Saying, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Yahushua called a little child unto him and set him in the midst of them. And he said, verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as a little child, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Whosoever shall humble himself as a little child, the same is as as a little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Hold on 1 second. Isaiah, we're recording. Can you stop?
What?
We're recording live on YouTube. Please stop.
Oh my God.
Okay, so, and who shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me.
We can hear everything in the background, Sadie.
Okay, you know what? Maybe you guys better read. Yeah, because I got a whole crew here. Thanks a lot.
That's no problem, sis. Okay. Let me just see here. I think it would be easier for me to do it on the Word software only because it's a little bit bolder.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find my place when you move it. So no, I'll let you guys read because I do got a full house.
Okay, no problem. Let's see here. 18, chapter 18. All right. And where is the, okay, that's the zoom in. I'm looking for the actual, see, I'm not used to this. All right, here we go. There we go. All right. At the same time came the disciple. Actually, I think Sister Sadia left off at verse 4, so let me go there. Okay, except you be converted, become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, and whosoever shall receive one such little child in my name receives me. But whosoever shall offend one of the least of these little ones which believes in me, it would be better for him that a millstone were hanged around his neck and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. Okay, so moving on here, verse 7. Okay, let me just see if I can find a way to make this a little bolder. There we go. Woe unto the world because of offenses, meaning stumbling blocks. For it must need to be that offenses will come, but woe to that man by whom offense comes. Wherefore, if your hand or your foot offends you, cut them off and cast them from you. It is better for you to enter into life halted or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into eternal fire. And if your eye offends you, pluck it out and cast it from you. It is better for you to enter into life with 1 eye rather than having 2 eyes, be cast into Gehenna fire. Okay. Take heed that you despise not one of these little ones. For I say unto you that in heaven their angels do always behold the face of my Father, okay, which is in heaven. For the Son of Man is come to save that which was lost. How you think if a man have 100 sheep and one of them gone astray, does he not leave the 99 and go into the mountains and seek that which is gone astray? And so be that he finds it. Verily I say unto you, he rejoices more of that sheep than of the 99 which went not astray. Even so, it is not the will of your Father which is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish. Okay. Moreover, if your brother shall trespass against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. And if he shall hear you, you have gained your brother. But if he will not hear you, then take with you one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the assembly. But if he neglect to hear the assembly, let him be unto you as a heathen man and a publican. Verily I say unto you, whatsoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatsoever you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Again I say unto you, that if 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there I am in the midst of them. Then Kapha came to him and said, My master, how often shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Yahushua said unto him, I say not unto you until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. But as formuch as he had not to pay, his master commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children and all that he had, and payment to be made. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, My master, have patience with me, and I will pay you all. Then the master of that servant was moved with compassion, loosed him, and forgave him the debt. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. And he had laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that you owe. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay you all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their master all that was done. Then his master, after that he had called him, said unto him, O you wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt, because you desired me. Should not you also have had compassion on your fellow servant, even as I had pity on you? And his master was angry, and delivered him to the tormentors till he should pay all that was due unto him. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if you from your hearts forgive not everyone his brother their trespasses. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go to chapter 19. Okay. And it came to pass that when Yahushua had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee and came into the coast of Judea, beyond Jordan, and great multitudes followed him, and he made them whole there. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying to him, Is it lawful for a man to put away? And I want everyone to pay attention here. This is not divorce. Put away his wife for every cause. Okay, so you got to be very careful with the translators here, because some translators, when it's put away, they will translate from the Greek into English divorce, and it confuses people, because put away is a lot different from divorce. She's still your wife when you put your wife away. Okay, she's still your wife. That's why Yahusha says in Matthew 5, if a man divorces a woman that has been put away, he commits adultery because she's still that man's wife. Okay. And he answered and saying to them, verse 4 here, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning, made them male and female, and said, for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall twain be one flesh. Basically, we modernized the language here from King Jimmy here, basically saying the two shall become one flesh. Okay, so just simplify that terminology there. Okay, verse 6, wherefore they are no more two but one flesh. What therefore Allah has joined together, let no man put asunder. They say unto him, why did Masha then command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? So obviously divorcement and being put away are two different things. That's why they're separating it right there. Okay. And he said unto them, Masha, because of the hardness of your hearts, allowed you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for whoring, sexual immorality, okay, and shall marry another. Why are you committing adultery? Because you're marrying someone else while you're still married. Commits adultery, and whosoever marries her, which is put away, commits adultery. Why? Because that woman is still married to the guy that put her away. Okay. His disciples say unto them, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. But he said, so basically the disciples are saying, well, maybe all of us should be, not married, and we should just stay virgins. But he said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, and there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. Basically, Yahusha is saying not every man can bear the burden of being, a virgin their whole life, is basically what he's saying. Okay. All right, so now we're going to verse 13 here. Then were there brought unto him little children, that he should put his hands on them and pray, and the disciples rebuked them. And Yahusha said, suffer little children, and forbid them not to come unto me, for such as is the kingdom of heaven. And he laid his hands on them and departed there. And behold, one came and said unto him, good Rabbi, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, why do you call me good? There is none good but one, that is Allah. But if you want to enter into life, keep the commandments. He said unto him, which? Yahusha said, you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said unto him, all these things I have kept from my youth up. What do I lack yet? Yahusha said unto him, if you will be perfect, go and sell everything you have and give to the poor, so that you have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. So basically he had idols in his life. The money was an idol to him. He could not depart with his possessions and follow Yahusha. He loved money more than following Yahusha, basically. Then Yahusha said unto his disciples, verily I say to you that a rich man shall hardly enter the kingdom of heaven, meaning that it's very hard for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. And again, I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Allah. When his disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, who then can be saved? But Yahushua beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with Allah all things are possible. Then Kapha answered and said to him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed you. What shall we have, therefore? And Yahushua said unto them, verily, I say unto you, that you which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit on the throne of his splendor, you also shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel, of Yasharal. And everyone that has forsaken houses, or brothers, or sisters, or fathers, or mothers, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit eternal life. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. And what Yahushua is referring to in the regeneration in context here is the resurrection. Okay, he's referring to the millennial here, when they're ruling with him and judging the 12 tribes of Israel. That would be in the millennium, so anyway. Okay, the kingdom of heaven, Matthew chapter 20, is like that is like unto a man that is a householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers in the vineyard. And when he had agreed with laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, go ye also in the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. Again, he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and said unto them, why do you stand here all day idle? They said unto him, because no man has hired us. He said unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, whatsoever is right, that shall you receive. So when evening was come, the master of the vineyard said unto his steward, call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, these last have worked but 1 hour, and you have made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, friend, I do you no wrong. Did not you agree with me for a penny? Take that yours is, or take what is yours, and go your way. I will give unto you this last, even as unto you. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with my own? Is your eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be the first, and the first the last. For many be called, but few chosen. Okay. And so basically, Yahushua is just showing the concept of predestination here, the concept of the doctrine of election, okay, that many are called, few are chosen, that concept. So anyway, moving on. Verse 17, and Yahushua going up to Jerusalem took the 12 disciples apart in the way, said unto them, behold, we go up to Jerusalem, the Son of Man shall be betrayed unto the chief priests and unto the scribes, and they shall condemn him to death. And they shall deliver him to the Gentiles to mock and to scourge and to crucify him, or impale him. And the third day he shall rise. Okay. Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons, worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. And he said unto her, what is your will? What is your desire? she said unto him, grant that these my two sons may sit, the one on your right hand and the one on the left, in your kingdom. But Yahusha answered and said, do you not know what you ask? Are you able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be immersed or baptized with the immersion or baptism that I am immersed with? They say unto him, we are able. And he said unto them, you shall drink indeed of my cup, and be immersed with the immersion that I am immersed with. But to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared of my Father. So obviously, Yahusha in his human ministry and becoming a human, he became lesser than the Father because of his mortal state that he was in his human ministry on earth. So just to explain why it's saying that Yahusha can give it, that it's not Yahusha's to give, but it's the Father's to give, just to explain that. Because there's other scriptures that seem contradictory that say Yahusha, did not consider robbery to be equal with Yahuwah, So just to explain, it's not a contradiction there. It's that in his human ministry, he became less than the Father. Not in his original fullness of himself, Anyway, okay, so, all right, so, okay. When the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the two brothers, and Yahusha called them unto him and said, you know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you, but whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister, or, your teacher. Whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be a ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom to many. So basically, he did not come to be served, but he came to serve. And as they departed from Jericho, a great multitude followed him, and behold, two blind men sitting by the wayside. When they heard that, Yahusha passed by and cried out, saying, have mercy on us, O my master, you son of David. And the multitude rebuked him, because they should hold their peace, but they cried the more, saying, have mercy on us, O my master, you son of David. And Yahusha stood still and called them and said, what will you that I shall do unto you? And they said unto him, my master, that our eyes may be opened. And Yahusha had compassion on them and touched their eyes. Immediately their eyes received sight, and they followed him. Okay, so now we're at chapter 21. And when they drew near unto Jerusalem, and were come to Bethany, unto the Mount of Olives, then Yahusha sent two disciples, saying unto them, go into the village over against you, and straightway you shall find a donkey tied, and a colt with her. Loose them and bring them unto me. And if any man say unto you, you shall say, my master has need of them, and straightway he will send them. Okay. All this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet, saying, tell ye the daughter of Sion, behold, your king comes unto you meek, sitting upon a donkey, and a colt the foal of a donkey. Okay. And the disciples went and did as Yahusha commanded them, and brought the donkey and the colt, and put on them their clothes, and they, set him thereon. And a very great multitude spread their garments in the way. Others cut down branches from the trees and strawed them in the way. And the multitudes that went before and that followed cried, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Baruch is he that comes in the name of Yahuwah. Hosanna in the highest. And when he was come into Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, who is this? And the multitude said, this is Yahusha the prophet of Nazareth of Galilee. And Yahushua went into the temple of Alua and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold doves, and said unto them, It is written, My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he made them whole. And the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying in the temple and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. And they were sore displeased, and said unto him, Do you not hear what they say? And Yahushua said to them, Yeah. Have you not read, out of the mouth of babies and sucklings you have perfected praise? And he left them and went out of the city into Bethany and lodged there. Now in the morning, as he returned into the city, he hungered, and he saw a fig tree in the way, and came to it, and found nothing thereon but leaves only. Said unto it, Let no fruit grow on you henceforth forever. And presently the fig tree withered away. And when the disciples saw it, they marveled, saying, How soon is the fig tree withered away? Yahushua answered and said unto them, Verily I say unto you, if you have belief and doubt not, you shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if you shall say unto this mountain, Be thou moved or removed, and be thou cast into the sea, it shall be done. In all things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing, you shall receive. And when he was come into the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching, and said, By what authority do you do these things? And who gave you this authority? And Yahushua answering said unto them, I also will ask you one thing, which if you tell me, I in likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things. The immersion of John, when was it? From what was it? Heaven or from men? And they reasoned with themselves, saying, If we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, Why did you not believe him? Not then believe him. But if we shall say of men, we fear the people, for all hold John as a prophet. Whoops. Okay. Verse 27, they answered Yahushua and said, We cannot tell. And he said unto them, Neither do I tell you by what authority I do these things. But what do you think? A certain man had 2 sons, and he came first to the first and said, Son, go work today in my vineyard. He answering and said, I will not. But afterward he repented and went. And he came to the second and said likewise, and he answered and said, I go, sir, and went not. Whether of them, which of the 2 did the will of his father? And they said to him, the first. Yahushua said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of Alua before you. For John came unto you in the way of righteousness, and you believed him not. But the publicans and harlots believed him. And you, when you had seen it, repented not afterward, that you might believe him. Here another parable. There was a certain householder which planted a vineyard, and hedged it around about, and digged a winepress in it, and built a tower, and let it out to the husbandman, and went into a far country. And when the time of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants to the husbandman, that they might receive the fruits of it. And the husbandman took his servants, and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another. And again he sent other servants more than the first, and they did unto them likewise. But the last of all he sent unto them his son, saying, They will reverence my son. But when the husbandmen saw the son, they said unto themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. And they caught him and cast him out of the vineyard and slew him. When the master therefore of the vineyard came what will he do unto those husbandmen? And they say unto him, he will miserably destroy those wicked men, and will let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, which shall render him the fruits in their seasons. Yahushua said unto them, did you never read in the scriptures the stone which the builders rejected? The same is become the head of the corner. This is Yahuwah's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of Alua shall be taken from you and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. And when the chief priests and Pharisees had heard his parables, they perceived that he spake of them. But when they sought to lay hands on him, they feared the multitude, because they took him for a prophet. Okay, so chapter 22. And Yahushua answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, The kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king, which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. And again he sent forth other servants, saying, Tell them which are bidden, Behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all the things are ready. Come unto the marriage. But they made light of it, and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise, and the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was angry, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Then he said to his servants, The wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go therefore into the highways, and as many as you shall find, bid to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. And he said unto him, Friend, how do you come in here not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. And then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called, but few are chosen. Okay. Then went the Pharisees and took counsel how they might entangle him in his talk, meaning how they would try to catch him up, trip him up. And they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Rabbi, we know that you are true and teach the way of Alua in truth. Neither do you respect any man, for you regard not the person of men. Tell us, therefore, what do you think? Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? But Yahushua perceived their wickedness and said, Why do you tempt me, you hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. Actually, the actual Greek of this is denarius. It's kind of modernizing the terminology here. And he said unto them, Who is the image on the superscription? And they said unto him, Caesar's. Then he said unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto Alua the things that are Alua's. And when they heard these words, they marveled and left him and went their way. The same day came to him the Sadducees, which say that there is no resurrection, and asked him, saying, Rabbi, Moshe said, if a man die having no children, his brother shall marry his wife, and raise up seed to his brother. Now there were with us 7 brothers, and the first, and he had married a wife, deceased, and having no issue, left his wife unto his brother. Likewise the second also, and the third, and unto the 7th. And the last of all, the woman died also. Therefore in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? for they all had her. Yahusha answered and said to them, you do error, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of Alua. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of Elohim in heaven. Which basically, Yahusha is pulling a concept here, a basic concept here, that angels are not supposed to marry. They are not meant to procreate. And we see that how that's a sin in Genesis 6, okay? And so that's a pretty basic concept here that he's pulling from the Tanakh, that angels are not meant to procreate. They were created to serve Yahuwah in heaven, to praise him in heaven. That's the purpose. That's the purpose we're going to have in the new heaven and new earth. So that's basically what Yahushua is talking about here. Okay. And once you're in the resurrection, you have your resurrected body. You will not have any wives. No, none of us will have wives or husbands. Okay. For us men, we will not have wives. For the women, they will not have husbands in the resurrection. Okay. That's basically what he's saying here. Okay. But as touching the resurrection of the dead, have you not read that which was spoken unto you by Alua, saying, I am the Elohim of Abraham and the Elohim of Isaac and the Elohim of Jacob. Elohim is not the Elohim of the dead, but of the living. And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. But when the Pharisees had heard that he put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, saying, Rabbi, which is the great commandment in the law? And Yahushua said to him, you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great command. And the second is like unto it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So, and let me explain this here and do a very brief expounding of what this verse is literally saying. So this verse is not saying that you just do those two commandments and then you forget about the rest of the Torah. What he's actually saying is that the rest of the Torah depends on these two great commandments. That's what he's actually saying. Okay. While the Pharisees were gathered together, Yahusha asked them, saying, what do you think of the Messiah? Whose son is he? They say unto him, the son of David. He says unto him, how then does David in the spirit call him master? Saying, Yahuwah said unto my master, sit thou at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. If David then calls him master, how is he his son? And no man was able to answer him a word, neither does any man from that day forth ask him any more questions. So very interesting last chapter to end with for today. I thank everyone for joining us, everyone for sticking with us through this long Haftarah reading for today. My prayer today would be that you got something out of it, and that this was edifying for all the hearers and listeners, and even the people reading along, all of us in this fellowship, that this was a very edifying and great iron sharpening iron study for today. So I just want to say to all of our brothers and sisters out there, thank you for staying with us and tuning in. Please stay tuned for next week, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, beloved brother.